we're leading your show with a joint practice, a bad day for the Jets, because that's the story of this team right now. Their offensive line is the weakest part of this roster. We're talking about it, and the New York Jets front office and coaching staff are talking about it as well, because it is a problem that has yet to be solved. The interior part of this offensive line, it's all right. They're doing okay. It's the edges, the right tackle, the left tackle. They don't have the answers yet, right? Dwayne Brown is expected to come in here and help them out. We know Mekhi Becton hasn't been able to get through a game. He's coming off significant injuries. I don't have an answer for you. The New York Jets don't have an answer right now. They're trying to make this work. I feel like you're burning.
Well, did I roll closer to Diana? Yes, I did. I'm going anywhere I can for help. Harry, I'm over here now. Is there an answer on this roster, or do they need to go outside? Do the Jets need to make a move of some kind here, or can they solve this problem with what they have in the building?
I think they have to make a move, and I think the first person comes to my mind is David Bakhtiari. He's a guy that's very, very close to Aaron Rodgers now, Greeny. There you go. See, you're excited. More excitement. That's what I love. He's a guy that's very close to Aaron Rodgers, and you try to, if you're the Jets, you try to make sure the money works. You got to make sure that works first of all. But for me, if you go out and get a guy like Aaron Rodgers and you can't, protect him, and your offensive line is the weakest link, guess what, Greeny? Goodbye.
Yeah. This is all hypothetical. Has Aaron Rodgers had conversations with the New York Jets about his buddy? He has. He would love David Bakhtiari to come join the New York Jets.
Yeah.
At this point, though, this isn't something that I think the New York Jets are planning on making happen. Maybe it's something that they should consider, though, if this continues to be a problem. But Bakhtiari, remember, he's dealing with some injuries.
Yes,
he admitted to Peter King that last year he felt like he was drowning in terms of the injury. This year he's planning on playing a full year. He feels a lot better. So, yes, there's injury concerns because of his history, but according to him, he feels good.
Okay.
Oh, it's a little deeper, though, Greeny.
Let's be clear. Because I got to get D-Wood in.
A little deeper.
Let's be clear about what we're not saying. We're not saying that Diana Rossini is reporting that the Jets are interested in David Bakhtiari.
No.
But I am. So D-Wood, I can't roll to you, so I'm just coming over here.
Okay.
Is this the answer? Is David Bakhtiari the answer to my problem?
Well, I mean, listen, he would be another body, but it doesn't. You got two tackles. David Bakhtiari has played exclusively at left tackle. Dwayne Brown has played exclusively at left tackle. Who's going to play right tackle? That's the problem that they have right now with the Jets is we're not talking about the interior. We're talking about both tackles. Yeah. So, again, here's what I will say to you, Greeny, right now.
What?
We still have a month before these games are for real.
Right.
Okay? Let's take a breath. Let's calm down a little bit, and let's see if these things can sort themselves out, work themselves out. I think we can't go too crazy right now because it's still the preseason.
That's complacency, and I can't have that. I will not have this complacency.
We talk about
Talk to me.
We talk about the Aaron Rodgers cadence, right? And we talk about what he's comfortable doing, which is this entire Jets offense, what Aaron Rodgers wants.
Right.
How long does it take an offensive line to get comfortable with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers for them to be able to come out against the Buffalo Bills and handle that defense?
Well, here's the thing. The question actually has been asked multiple times to not only Aaron Rodgers but to Robert Saleh. At what point do you have to settle on the 5 guys and just let them play? Because as a former offensive lineman, it is critical that you get guys on the same page. Like chemistry is everything across the offensive line. So that's why the whole Dwayne Brown situation is like it's concerning because it's like, well, when is he going to be back so they can all play together? That's the real crux of the problem with the Jets right now.
I can answer your question. When do they need this to happen? Tomorrow, and they need to trade for David Bakhtiari today. That's how we solve this. And Harry, tell everybody why the Packers might like it.
Well, if Aaron Rodgers plays a certain percentage of plays, then now that second-round draft pick that they traded for Aaron Rodgers becomes a first-round draft pick.
Yes.
If Aaron Rodgers is hurt and he's not on that football field, then it won't be a first-round draft pick.
That's right.
That's another incentive why the Packers would want to do it as well.
There's an executive in the NFL watching this show right now, just said, the New York Jets may not want to be the Rams here. They may not want to give up everything and do everything and then put themselves in a hole for the future. What's your response to that?
That's the single stupidest text I've ever heard in my entire life.
I'm never going to get information from this guy again.
Don't trade for Aaron Rodgers to worry about the future. You are all in. And to be clear, that's not from a Jet executive.
No, that's
right?
not. That's not.
No,
Someone in the league. That is very smart, by the way.
They are all in, right? And you have to be all in. You've got Aaron Rodgers. If a miracle happens, you've got a 3-year window, and it's probably closer to 2 or even 1. You've got to do everything you can to win it now. Harry.
Well, yes, that's why you go out and get an Aaron Rodgers, because you felt like a year ago you were a quarterback away. You had a top 5 defense. But if you can't protect that guy who's dropping back and passing the football, why does it matter that you went and got him?
What, can I say something? Like, it is literally 8:12.
Yeah.
Are you going to make it through the show today?
No.
Are you going to make it through the show? Do I have to start reading the teleprompter? Because you look like you're about to lose.
Because here's the problem.
Yeah.
Mike is remembering that Super Bowl in Tampa when, as good as that Kansas City Chiefs team was, the offensive line was the reason why Tom Brady was able to beat them. And that is his fear, that maybe they'll be able to get through. But maybe they won't. Maybe the New York Jets will be the team in the AFC that actually doesn't make the playoffs. And then I will never come on this show again because I don't want to be around that industry.
Okay, so I'm going to calm down. I blame almost everything in Mac Jones' regression last year on the coaching situation. For those who don't remember, Josh McDaniels left to become the head coach of the Raiders, and Bill Belichick, for reasons known only to him, had 2 guys running his offense who just candidly had no business doing it, Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. And the quarterback regressed, and he looked frustrated, and I have blamed practically all of that on the coaching situation. So I believe bringing in Bill O'Brien, he's going to bounce back huge. Is it reasonable for me to put that much of it on the coaching situation?
Mac Jones' second year. No, I agree with you too.
Yes.
I think they put him in a situation not to be successful by not hiring a real offensive coordinator. Now he has Bill O'Brien, and I do agree with Damian Woody. It's a make or break season for Mac Jones to show that, you know, he can be the quarterback in New England. Now, does he have opportunity to go somewhere else and potentially be a quarterback? Yes, but for New England, in a position where he got benched for barely Zappy last year.
Yeah.
Zappy.
Right.
So he has to show this year that he can be that guy, and he's consistent like he was in his rookie season.
I get it. But here's the thing. Here's the reason that I believe in him. Because while the questions about him were always how high the ceiling is, but we always knew the floor was pretty high. He's not bad. No. He looked confused last year. This is a guy who had a master's degree after 3 years of college and had a 4.0 GPA. The one thing we know he is smart. If he was confused, I blame that on other people, not on him. I believe he will bounce back huge. I don't think he's ever going to be a superstar, but he's going to be way better than he was last year.
Oh, you get no disagreement out of me. I think Mac Jones is going to have. I think he's going to have a pretty damn good year this year, because Bill O'Brien is going to make everything make sense offensively. Last year there was just so much confusion. You could see it. You could see it come out on the sidelines. I think Bill O'Brien is going to put an end to all of that.
Damian and I have this conversation in the makeup room all the time of what Bill O'Brien can do. We were saying there are times where you can see on the field players looked lost. Now Bill O'Brien is giving those players the answer, right? They can go to him, and there isn't this big transition in terms of understanding this offense, because there's a lot of what we saw Josh McDaniels do. No one's learning some new system. Of course, there will be some Bill O'Brien wrinkles here, but in terms of the comfort level from not just the players, but the coaching staff, this fits. This is the same family. And the addition of Bill O'Brien, in my opinion, is the biggest addition to the New England Patriots this offseason.
Me too. O'Brien, I'll remind anyone who doesn't know this that O'Brien actually came in under Josh McDaniels. Right. He's older than McDaniels.
And has won games without Tom Brady, too, right? Yeah. He's had success himself without Tom Brady. And that's not me taking a shot at Coach Belichick. This is just proof that he is a good play caller.
But I think also you have a guy that's going to be able to speak the same language as Mac Jones.
Yeah.
That in itself is very important when it comes to a play caller and a quarterback and those two guys connecting.
Yeah, write them off at your own risk. I mean, the AFC East is loaded because they have 4 teams you have to take seriously, not 3. If you look past the Patriots this year, in my opinion, you're making a huge mistake. Do they think Joe Burrow will be healthy and ready to play?
No. There is concern. There is significant concern in Cincinnati that Joe Burrow will not be ready to go week 1. They're going to be very conservative from what I can gather. They're not going to try to roll him out there, push him out there, knowing how competitive the AFC is. Everyone's aware of that. They know who they're facing coming right out of the gate the first 2 weeks. They got divisional games. But they want to play this smart. They don't want their quarterback injured come January. So
yeah, they opened with the Browns and the Ravens, but I have to also throw in quickly here because you were with me the day after this happened.
Yes.
The contract is a part of this as
Absolutely.
well, right? So where is that?
At this, it is still not done. From having a few conversations around the league in terms of what's the holdup. There's nothing specific that's injury related. Every answer I've been getting when I'm questioning where is this thing, it'll be happening. It's coming, right? They have kept things very quiet. Both camps have. They've done a very good job at that. But the sense I know around the organization is this deal's going to get done, and Joe Burrow is going to be the highest paid quarterback by a lot.
Yeah, the highest paid player in NFL history is what the expectation is, and deservedly so. So I wouldn't expect to see him on the field till that gets done. We assume that will. Harry, how about the injury? 31 days to the start of their season.
Yeah, I'm worried about it a little bit, and I think what comes to my mind is a Kevin Durant. When you see him have a calf injury, and then next thing you know, he goes out there on the basketball court and tears his Achilles, I'm pretty sure the Bengals organization, their front office and their doctors and also their trainers, they don't want some of the same things to happen. So if I'm them, I'm not allowing Joe Burrow to go out there on that football field until he's 100% healthy. Because, you know, losing games early on, you don't want to do that, Greeny. But I think losing your quarterback for the year is more drastic than losing games early on.
Of course. I mean, you're going to need him at the end, no matter how competitive the whole thing is. If they get themselves into the tournament, they have a fighting chance. How do we handle this, D. Wood?
Got to wait. You got to wait until this dude is 100%, man. I've had this injury, and it's one of these things where if you're not careful, it will linger all year long, okay, all year long. So I would rather lose time on the front end and have my guy, you know, on down the stretch than to try to rush him out there. And then he goes out there and do some sudden move, and now he's compromised the rest of the year. That would be the worst case scenario for Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
You know what, when you talk about that, though, you have to wonder, though, will math be the problem later on in the season, right? So let's say they come out and they lose, and then Joe comes back, they win, they light it up. They just may not have enough wins to go into the playoffs and think about how that would end their season. Obviously, heartbreaking, but this is their future. Joe Burrow is the future of the Cincinnati Bengals for the next 10 years, right? So they have to be smart with this.
The fine line they got to walk here. It's a complicated situation, and as the coach said, it's a few weeks from when he said it would be a few weeks. D. Wood, sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. That face is worth at least that many. What's your reaction to all this?
Well, what the hell was Ron Rivera thinking by airing something like that? I mean, listen, Harry, you've been in the locker room. You know what I'm about to say. Coaches always talk about, you know, minimizing distractions.
Keeping things
in-house.
Yep.
And you gonna run out there and gonna tell the media that players are coming to you complaining about how tough Eric Bieniemy is? Ron, you've been in this, listen, I'm just gonna speak to the camera. Ron, you've been in this league too long to have a self-inflicted wound like that. Because we all know, and I'm part of the media now, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna not only talk to you, we're gonna try to talk to Eric Bieniemy, and we damn sure gonna talk to the players about it. And players don't want to talk about these things. We got other things that we gotta worry about. Now we gotta address, you know, the conversation that I had with my coach being aired out to the media. I don't understand it. And on top of that, his response yesterday was reading a statement.
Yeah.
Come on, like, why do you feel like you need to read a statement? This should be something that you should be able to shoot off the cuff. Like, look, what I did was unacceptable. I should never air things like that. We're going to move on. Why do you have to read a statement?
Yeah, it bothered me because you have a guy in Eric Bieniemy who struggled to get a head coaching job, right? And so now there's another microscope on him, and now these owners and these GMs and these teams look at this as another reason why and can say, hey, this is why we didn't hire him as our head coach. Also, when I look at a guy like Eric Bieniemy, though, 5 AFC championship appearances, 2 Super Bowl wins, these players nowadays, do you want to be great? Do you want to be coached hard? Because if you just want somebody to baby you, I think the National Football League is the wrong place for you to even begin with.
Yeah, and you go back to when he was the offensive coordinator in Kansas City. It wasn't all unicorns and rainbows because they were winning. You guys remember seeing on some games him and Travis Kelce getting into it, him and Patrick Mahomes even argue on the sideline. There was always an understanding that Eric Bieniemy is very set in his ways, and he believes in that. In fact, Coach Rivera pointed to that, set in his ways. And that, to me, when I heard Coach say it, it almost sounded like there's a stubbornness from EB, right? Which is fine. If you believe in what you're doing, that's the way he should be coaching, in what he truly believes in, because it's worked for him. I think the problem here is Ron Rivera knew what he hired, right? He hired him. So he knew that came along with him. There's no secret in the NFL that how the style of Eric Bieniemy, right? That everybody knows it. If you cover it, you play it, you watch it, you know that this is the type of coach he is. So the Washington Commanders have been aware of this. Coach Rivera should have been way more prepared in having to manage that. And the bigger issue is it is the second week of August, and I've heard nothing good about the Commanders. This is the first thing I'm hearing about this offense, and it's not good.
It's a complicated situation, I agree, because look, at the end of the day, what should also be said here is their offense and generally their full football team has stunk for a very long time. So to Harry's point, you bring someone in who has a pedigree of winning, the first thing people should be doing is listening to what he says. And if I'm Ron Rivera and one of my players comes to me and says, I have a little bit of a problem with the way the coach is coaching me here, I would say, well, then maybe this isn't the place for you, because this guy knows a hell of a lot more about winning than anybody here does. I want to make a point. I love Ron Rivera. I've known him since the 80s. I think he's a great guy. Great people sometimes make mistakes. I think he made a big mistake here. He just did not handle this right in the initial. Doesn't make him a bad person, but I think it was a self-inflicted wound, as you said, and I think everything about this is awful, or they need to turn the page as quickly as they can.
And he's a player's coach, right? That's what he's known for. Eric Bieniemy is as well, but they obviously have a very, very different style. If they could combine it, right, maybe that's where the success can be, if they can figure out a way to make these players want to play hard and adapt to this style.
I want to give D Wood the final word, because you have a skeptical look on your face that I need explained.
Yeah. Again, like you just brought up about the Washington Commanders, they stunk. This is the team I grew up rooting for, so I've always got a little vested interest in the Washington Commanders. It's like we've never talked about them in a positive light in years. Yeah. And here it is, Eric Bieniemy comes over from the Kansas City Chiefs, and this is the first thing that drops in 2023 about the Washington Commanders.
Yeah. It's bad. I mean, they've just turned the page, right? They just turned the page
really
from the Dan Snyder era.
What's interesting is you hear a few days ago, Denver Broncos head coach Sean Payton pretty public about trying to straighten up this Denver Broncos organization.
Right.
And he was pretty critical of the way they were running things. And, now he's saying, at these preseason games, he doesn't want the guys wearing Gilligan hats. Right. He's trying to set an identity himself as well. And, I mean, if he never made those comments last week about the Jets, this story would probably be the biggest story.
Comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Right. That's
comfortability drives complacency. And when you're comfortable with being uncomfortable, it allows you to grow in ways that you never even imagined.
I would finish it by saying that there may be no more dated reference that we have than Gilligan hats. I don't think I'm not sure anyone calls them that. And I'm not sure most people don't even know what that is anymore.
I know what that dated me, because I didn't even translate it. I'm like 75.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.